9. Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. Liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11. Roger, Tower.
Welcome to the Alien Probe Podcast. It's Saturday, May 31st, 2025. I'm Doug. This is MUFON Matt, Trisha, and Verohnika, the PsyChicks. Welcome. How you guys doing?
Thank you much. Thanks for having us.
Well, it's our pleasure. Tell us a little bit about yourselves. I know we met on Facebook, which I meet a lot of guests on Facebook. I love, not a huge fan sometimes of Facebook, but I love people of like minds. And we get a lot of people from that. So tell us about what you do, kind of how you got into this. Go ahead.
You just look for the ones that have been banned and worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't gotten there yet. I'm bad about, not banned, but I get bannered on YouTube.
Yeah.
Because I talk badly about COVID and
I think
things,
everybody gets hit on YouTube too.
And I got one the other day for something else, but I don't care. We're not monetized, so we just do this for fun, so I can swear or do whatever I want. Talk bad about the government. I don't care. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter to me. I can do anything I want. So, so how'd you guys get into this? And are you related or are you friends? What's up?
We're actually married.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So we're lifelong friends.
You look like sisters. Don't they look like sisters?
They do look alike.
I go, well, I wonder if they're related. Well, that's good. How long have you been married?
About 8 years.
Oh, no kidding.
Congratulations.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and that's actually when we started, doing readings together. Because we're actually psychic mediums, and that started from the beginning. I originally I died at 7.
I'm sorry, you died at 7?
I died at 7. You're gonna love this. I died from a vaccine, smallpox.
Oh, whoa.
Wow.
And I came back a little different. But as far as the extraterrestrials, I've actually been abducted since actually 3 months in the womb.
Oh, wow. Yeah, we get we've had a couple of ladies on that said they were taken in the first trimester. Mm-hmm. We've had 2 women actually. They both said that they've had fetuses taken in the first trimester. It was weird because then after the second one said, I go, that's really weird. That's what's with 3.
I think it goes back through the genealogy, because she also died when she was a child at 8, fell off a wall, and we were both abducted very young. And I believe my mom was too, but she didn't like to talk about it. But she was also very locked into the religions. But she was very psychic, very psychic. She would have all sorts of premonitions and things like that. And but when I was 3 months old, I felt like I was being strangled to death.
Oh.
And it was kind of weird because we can look into our past. We also see things, but I felt like I was being strangled to death. So I went ahead and asked my mom about it. I was probably already in my 20s, and she had told me that she had had quite a few miscarriages, and that when I was about 3 months old, she had very bad varicose veins, and that she literally was strangling me in the womb. So what happened was the extraterrestrials came, pulled me out, kind of fortified me, worked on my DNA, strengthened me, and popped me back in, and I was able to be born.
Nice.
And I guess I came out a fairly unruly child.
I wasn't abducted, but I'm pretty unruly anyway. So that's good. So do you remember what they look like? Because that's our group.
Oh yeah. Well, I was abducted quite a few times. So yeah, I've become quite fond of them. But the first time I remember seeing what they looked like, when I was like about 8 9 years old, and I woke up in my bed, and I was hovering over my bed, and I was actually screaming, but obviously nobody heard me, because I was startled. And I remember looking outside the window, and I saw this really big bright light, and there was a being standing next to me with really big dark eyes. I don't know if it was a gray. It could have been, or a really tall gray. But at that point, I every time I close my eyes, I still remember that particular being. And I finally dropped to the bed. I ran to the window and I saw a big ship, and they had taken me up on the ship, and I guess they did more things to me, and I've been being abducted ever since. It's kind of crazy. I went down. Of course, I ran down to my mom. Mom, mom, mom. This
Yeah.
happened to me. She said, "Oh, don't worry about it. Just go back to bed." Like, what's happened?
Yeah.
Off.
Rub some dirt in it.
Oh man.
And I would guess she probably had been abducted too, and it was just, okay, what can I do,
Yeah.
right?
The farther
And,
farther back you go, less people talk about it. You know.
yes, it was kind of funny because in my 20s I used to go to the different like Doubters conferences and things like that, and it was like there was this little group of people who had been abducted, but nobody believed you. So it was like going to an AA group of abductions. Yeah, when I was la 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 la.
Oh,
Yeah,
sure.
but yeah, yeah.
It's just like a it's just like a MUFON meeting. That feels like an AA
Yeah.
meeting to me.
Exactly. And I was right there in nutcase. I was always described as a little different.
Yeah.
But
Just
when
just
I
like
was,
us. Yeah.
That's a good
yeah,
thing.
when I was smaller, and my mom said I changed after I came back from dying, and that I was a lot more intelligent, I was smarter, I was cleaner. That's what she was happy about. And they wanted to jump me in grades, and I wasn't. I was really tall for being young. My mom, she was a little midget. She was 4'8", 93 pounds.
4'8". That is small.
Sounds
She
like
wore
my wife.
size 3 kids shoes.
Oh jeez.
Oh wow.
Bright red hair, freckles, white as snow. It was so crazy. But my aunt was 6 feet tall. So obviously
Oh,
I
wow.
took after my father's side. But so they tried to jump me in grades, but she wouldn't let me. But they started putting me in all these special classes and stuff like that. And I think a lot of that I was getting grabbed. And by the time I got into high school, I had been put into a special class with like 4 or 5 kids, and they do all this testing, and well, you're too smart, that kind of thing, and you get to do all the things nobody else does. But I think that particular time was when I first got taken and put into the secret space program.
So what did you do for them?
Well, I remember stuff from that. I remember getting waterboarded.
Oh wow.
I remember because I was always so afraid of water and water in my face, because they do that kind of stuff to accelerate your gifts and to enhance your gifts, and like the MK Ultra and all the different things, because you're already gifted, you're already open, and they would just want to slap it out of you, and so that they could use you. I do remember being on another planet. I remember fighting a war with these weird space kind of tools, guns kind of things. And I remember getting my leg blown off.
Oh wow.
And I don't think they put you back together very well, because I still had problems with that afterwards. But I believe I've been taken 3 times. I believe I was taken 2 times in the beginning. And you do the 20 and back, and it only takes a few minutes of your time,
Yeah.
because it would rush you back. And but I also believe they've taken me back more recently, and because I've had some really crazy dreams. I have crazy dreams anyway, but they mask them. They like hide them behind other dreams, but but they kind of leak through because, the more we wake up, the more we see what's really going on. And I actually, I saw myself, I was huge, because I believe they put you in other avatars that fit their narrative at the time. And I had like a gray kind of hair, crew cut. I was huge, and I was a male, and I was underground in, I believe, one of these, either the dumbs or the caverns down there, and I was screaming and yelling at this extraterrestrial. And I was high ranking over the mission, and he was also there to assist. But the problem with a lot of the extraterrestrials is they don't have empathy. They're just like nothing, no feelings, no nothing. And I wanted to get in there sooner because we were extracting children, trying to get children out. And by the time we got in there, most of them were dead. A lot of them were butchered, hanging on the walls, parts everywhere. It was really crazy.
Oh, wow.
And I'm an empath, so that was really difficult for me. And I asked him, why couldn't we go in sooner? He said, well, it just wasn't time yet, and that's all he really had to say.
About the magical question he asked you, why are you so upset?
Oh yeah, why am I so upset? Because to them,
extraterrestrials don't have emotions.
They don't have emotions. It's just all about what we're doing.
Yeah,
the job.
It's just business. Just business.
It's just business.
Yeah. Did they tell you why they abducted you? Or was it some kind of narrative? Was it just from many different things?
Well, like I said, it started since I was born. I believe it was in my lineage. I believe they abduct certain people, especially certain people with certain blood types.
Mm-hmm.
A negative.
Yeah, A negative, the RH factor.
Yep.
Yeah, our stories are very similar. My story starts in the first trimester. My mom was pregnant with me. 3 times her body tried to abort me. On the second time, she slipped, but she landed sitting up, and I turned breech. I said, "No, I'm going this way." The third time, she was riding a bus, and she felt the contractions coming. And because I was breech, I didn't just go, all right, bye. So fast forward, I was born preemie. I was born very tiny, and then I grew. And then when I was around 3 years old, my mom had already immigrated to the United States. And my grandma, her mom, in Peru, around 3 years of age, I remember going into, it's a memory that just popped up, and I saw myself walking into the bedroom, my bedroom, going towards the closet, and I see this very tall, I was very frightened. It wasn't a gray, but it was something like 10 feet tall, white ash skin, and it had different colored blobs, very long with suction cups, very skinny fingers. And outside the window, I saw the traditional flying disc whirring. I heard the motors whirring, like only I could hear it. And I've always had that ability to hear frequency on that level, to know who's been in here, if somebody's sick, and just all these things that back then I was born in 1975, so we didn't have Yahoo or Google or anything like that. So libraries, movies are my education, pretty much.
Oh yeah, those are all documentaries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then the next thing I know, my grandmother, who is very, I want to say a mix between clairvoyant and very psychic, very intuitive. She was a Cancer, so she was very tuned in. She came in and she grabbed me. She just felt, because years later, I learned how to read the tarot and stuff from her, and palm reading and stuff. But she had explained that she just had a really bad feeling. She doesn't remember seeing anything, because extraterrestrials, all the species, have the ability to block humans' minds, because humans' minds are not that yet developed at the 3D level that we're at. Fast forward to age 8, I'm in the 3rd grade, and in the last 3 to 4 months, I heard, I don't know if you guys remember, but those old free hearing programs that they would check up, and you would hear that creepy man's voice. Well, as soon as I started hearing that man's voice, I was all like,
Yeah.
it was like my brain just opened up on my third eye and memories just started flooding in. Where I remember putting on the headphones. I remember hearing, if you hear this,
Yeah.
and then it goes blank. And I remember drinking a little cup. It looked like Pepto-Bismol. It was a pink liquid.
The Gateway
And
program.
yeah, the Gateway program. I was part of that.
Oh, wow.
And
Was that at the schools? Where was that
yeah,
at?
it was in
Yeah.
California. I grew up in Cali, actually, in California,
What part?
in Hawthorne.
Okay.
In Hawthorne, they
Yeah.
had the Air Force Base right off of Doty Avenue. Now I think SpaceX actually bought that, but they actually had I think it was the Northrop.
I remember the Gateway program.
Yeah.
They did it to us too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they did it to us,
Yeah.
and the only reason why I discontinued from doing that is because my dad moved us out of the city. We went down south or north. I think it was north.
Yeah, I think that's why they tested kids so much in the schools, because they wanted to know which ones are more intuitive, which ones have
Correct.
a
Right.
gift and everything. Because you're constantly, I know I was, and I know she was.
Yeah, and after being, I guess, recruited as a little 8-year-old, I had my near-death experience a few months later in that same year. I was climbing a wall that divided two duplex properties. I climbed up the wall to get the ball on the roof, and I fell back. I lost my balance, fell backwards, and the last thing I remember is hitting the back of my head where the supposed seat of the soul is at. And I saw myself going up to the sky. Um, it was like the journeys that people describe when they're floating out of their bodies. I met an angel, and that's where I learned that they're not just female or male, they're both. And I met God. He resembled Jerry Garcia, and the only reason I know that is because in my 20s I actually looked who was Grateful Dead, because in San Francisco, that's where I lived at the time too. Everybody loves the Grateful Dead, Jerry Garcia. So I was like, hey, this looked like God. And I was told at that moment when I was up there, I was told that I needed to come back, and that in my early 20s I was going to help a lot of people. That was my mission. I didn't want to go back because it was just a really bad
Oh,
time.
yeah. You don't ever want to go
No.
back. You feel so much love up there. That energy up there is crazy. It's like, and you tell them no, 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 and then whoop, there you go.
Yeah.
And you're back.
And that conch of the head, it just opened up a lot of things. I would see things under the bed, yeah, from demons to angels.
Yep.
I would see things out of the closet. Anything with the closet becomes a frame, a portal, so things can go in and out.
It's just like that movie with that one blue guy that walks around with the little guy with the eye in the middle of his head, where they go and
Monsters Inc.
Monsters Inc., where they go scare people.
Oh yeah.
The Rouge, because that's what they're doing. They literally are scaring people and making them fear. That's what they survive on.
And throughout my teens, I actually gravitated towards finding more about extraterrestrials, why the abductions happen, why the impregnations happen, and it's generational. I came to find out it was generational. That normally it happens on the mom's line, very few on the dad's line. And in the work and the journey that we're doing now in the present time, there's more women than men, but we occasionally get men that are in their 40s to come talk about that too. So yeah, we have quite a few stories. Another one is where
we were both actually impregnated in our late 20s.
Yeah.
At different times.
At 27 or 28, I felt the moment of conception, and then within 36 hours, I felt this void, like it was gone. That's the only time I've actually, like, oh my God, it's gone.
Yeah, you feel such a loss. Mine lasted a little longer than that, and it was just like it totally disappeared, and you feel like you did, you lost a baby.
And then a few months later, I was shown my daughter. I actually knew it was going to be a girl.
Right.
I had named it Catherine, and it's a mix. It's a hybrid, so they mix it with because we as humans, we get freaked out with anything that doesn't look like us, pretty much.
Right.
So yeah, they showed me in long brunette hair. Really beautiful, not because it comes from me. Well, yeah, that too, but very, very tall, very, very like Arcturian almost. Very tall, skinny, but not lanky. I had a glow, and she had a
Yeah.
boy,
Yeah.
and
Named him Joshua.
they told us about 4 or 5 years ago that they traveled together. They're having them travel together and apart.
Yeah.
So we're like, are we crazy? We're
Yeah.
just skeptical.
And we do a lot of shows because we actually are psychics and we do readings together. So as far as I know, we're the only ones that do it, at least in our region
Mhm.
or on this side of the country that
Nice.
act. When someone comes to us, we're reading them at the same time.
That's
So they
cool.
get a lot of information at the same time.
Right.
And to do, I guess a little plug, right?
Yeah.
We have PsyChicks. We have a Facebook account called Transcend 11, TRANZEND 11. It's also known as Angel Mystic. And if somebody wants a reading, they can hook up with us there. We also have a small YouTube channel which we had just started called
You can
The PsyChicks.
PsyChicks 11.
So, okay.
Yeah, at the PsyChicks 11.
Mm-hmm. And it's very different because we do a lot of lectures. We lecture about extraterrestrials. We did lectures about um, all sorts of different things. The Matrix. We did lectures on the Matrix and all the different things in the Matrix and how it correlates to society right now, along with where we came from, how we began, because we don't believe what a lot of people believe. That actually, when the Anunnakis came down, when they had a huge war up in space, and they were all fighting each other, and that's how the face got blown off of Mars, and they're all inside now.
And that's where the Van Allen belt comes from, too.
Right, the Van Allen belt was one of the planets that got blown up,
Right.
and that's around us. But the one of the other planets lost also its atmosphere, and I believe it was Tiamat, right?
Yeah.
Tiamat, and that's where the Anunnakis were starting to search for. They needed gold for their atmosphere, so they had actually sent somebody down on the planet to check. They had found gold down here. So Anu, who was the main person on the ship, he had a son, Enki and Anil. Those are a little more common names, I believe a lot of people would know. And they came down to Earth, and the actual way that people were created, because there were some things here, but Enki, they came down in the 6 days. They created civilization down here, a beautiful area, and on the 7th day they rest. So a lot of this actually mimics what's in the Bible, because the Bible, a lot of the things from there come from the ancient texts, the tablets.
Right. It's mimicked the
Yeah.
ancient texts.
In Africa, well, the whole Earth is I believe it's a lot older, and the terrain has just been transformed
Yep.
completely. That movie, The Arrival with Charlie Sheen,
Yeah.
is exactly what they did over and over again. I think it's a landscape that it's been experimented on, but a lot of the reason I've been researching. I'm a nerd, pretty much, lifelong nerd. So
Same.
her too, and you guys too. So what I've been able to find, and you can't find the books anymore because the libraries seem to take them out.
Rid of a
Yeah.
lot of them.
What I've been able to find is that everything links back to a certain part of the coast of Africa towards the old, what's known as Asia, like the ancient parts of Asia, that have records of the extraterrestrials that were fighting up there, the blue gods and all that. So they found actual gold discs with different signs on them, like almost like a compass, like north, south, those kind of old language. And they found that a lot of the trajectory of where they found the gold is also laser. It's like a laser penetrator through rock and gravel and all the way down there. So that's a lot of where my research was starting back in my teens. We're talking about when I was like 10 or 12 years old. You would think that I love Indiana Jones too, so that got me started off on a good foot.
Oh, yeah.
Great movie.
Yeah.
They've got holes dug down in Africa to go down hundreds of feet that there's no way we can even try to figure out how they did that, because
Yeah.
we not have that tech,
Yeah.
because they've covered it all up.
Well,
Yeah,
you-
and another example of where you see that kind of technology is Alien versus Predator, where they're down in the South Pole and all of a sudden the predators come in because that's where they take the teenagers to become adult warriors, and you see the laser just shoot through really quickly. That's basically what's happened. There's other cases where through written and oral traditions, like my mom was Peruvian and my dad is from Chile, but on my mom's side in Peru, there's a lot of even statues honoring reptiles, like
Yeah.
kind.
Oh
Not
yeah.
all of them are evil. I don't think all of them that came down here are evil. It was more like the hive mind. Either you're with us, or we're going to kill you and your family. I do believe because it's shown time and time again. But there's a lot of representation of the hybrid corn in Peru. There's
Yep.
also a lot of potatoes, a lot of hybrid things that were done. Even the Incas and stuff, medicine, and I still practice the medicine that was taught to my great grandmothers, my grandmother, my aunts, and all that. So a lot of herbal stuff, a lot of stuff before medicine was involved or brought in. But yeah, a lot of the ancient stuff, the Anunnaki, the creation of Adam and Eve is more a story of scientific endeavors. If I choose to
Playing in the petri dish.
playing in the petri dish. But as regards to extraterrestrials, everything's taken a turn because the real ones are coming back. The ones that here are the government or the ones in control of the government that have done reverse technology, they're doing a lot of stuff to disinform the public because there's a lot of them that are already here, the good extraterrestrials, the very few that are left that want to help humanity.
Yeah, we actually see some extraterrestrials in
our bathroom.
And well, yeah, we see all sorts of them in our house. They come and they think they can hide. You can see their feet down hiding behind the curtains. And
Oh, wow.
yeah. One time we actually had the Galactic Council come into our bedroom because they wanted our.
Yeah, we were just sitting on the side of the bed, and I see this group of 6 ugly-looking extraterrestrials, and all
No
like
robes on, they're marching in, sitting down.
Yeah, that's just rude. I said that's just rude. There's no privacy in this house anymore.
They don't care.
No.
They have no feeling about anything. Yeah, it's just another room. They don't care what you're doing. They don't pay any attention. No,
Yeah, out of my bedroom. My bedroom's sacred. You guys get the fuck out.
Come in anytime.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, bring your cameras.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you guys charge for a reading? I was just curious.
Oh, we charge $65 for a 15-minute reading. And
is it through both of you or just one?
Yeah, it's
both
of us.
That's cool.
So a lot of the readings, our energy just meshes so well. It's like a DNA helix. It just goes in and out so evenly. So a lot of the readings that I end up doing concentrate on business, career, money, finance.
Right. Yeah.
And hers is about love, family, connection,
health.
And health-wise too. And we've been starting to actually help people find their starseed families, where they come from, extraterrestrial-wise.
Yeah, we did some lectures again on the matrix and how it correlates with what's going on, because we do live in a matrix.
Yeah, or I was going to say, are we in the matrix?
Yeah,
we are in the matrix.
Absolutely,
we are electrical beings, and we are literally being caged in. This is what they call a prison planet. And the Earth is kind of flat. It's more like an egg.
And when we did our first 2 lectures at 2 separate metaphysical affairs,
we had a visitor.
We had an individual visitor for each one, and they were not happy. They had sent in because in between that, a little bit before that, we actually did an ayahuasca ceremony. It was my first time doing it. It was her second time. So that was an amazing journey in itself, and I was able to see the countless number of galaxies that are up there, the different types of extraterrestrials that are down here. I can see in between the inter and the intra dimensions. I can see in between those, and I can see behind who's really human, and I can see behind the facade as well, if they're shapeshifters, if they're reptiles, if they're bad extraterrestrials, if they're good ones.
Yeah, we can see it and feel it.
So for each one of those 2 lectures, I saw both of them. They were very angry. And just like they came in, I saw them walk in, but then they just disappeared. Poof. And nobody remembered that there was a guy. Both of them were guys.
Yeah, he looked like one of those men in black guys.
Yeah.
All in black, dressed. And he started out, sitting up and everything and kind of listening. Never cracked a smile at all. And then he
Oh.
started sinking more into his chair, and you could just tell
And at that point he crossed his, and he was looking right at me because
Yeah.
I was standing right in
trying
front
to
of him.
intimidate us.
Yeah, and I was all like, oh my God, turn this way, because it just freaked me out.
Just kept going. But one of the things we realized when we started doing these lectures is that I started seeing people's past lives. I was looking into the audience, and I was like, oh wow, okay, so she was this, and she was this, and it was really kind of cool because it kind of opened up doors for us when we did it, and she was able to see a lot more too. So that is one other thing that we do, is we actually show people what their past lives were, because we don't spend all our time on this planet. We've come from many other planets, and we've either been drawn down here and trapped, or we've been drawn down here to try to elevate humanity and lift it back up out of this. What's going on?
Here's another interesting one for you. So I've always had very, very weird, well, I call them weird dreams, but in actuality they were into past lives. I've always dreamed that all my past lives were coming into the here and now. And as of 5 years ago, I started dreaming that I was this other extraterrestrial persona that would go in and basically destroy the bad extraterrestrials. And I come to find that she also has the ability to jump into my dreams and to rescue me from very, very perilous situations.
Yeah.
And the same for her too. I would go wherever she's at, and it turns out that we've had a lot of time together in different past lives, extraterrestrial and here on planet Earth.
On one life, I saw she was laughing about something, because you always think that you've got this extraterrestrial heritage, and there were all these beautiful extraterrestrials and everything like that, and that is so not the case. Because it's kind of hard to tell people, yeah, you're short, stumpy, and you've got like seven arms. But
I feel that already, so I believe that.
Yeah.
Short, stumpy, and 7 arms. Only one works.
Yeah, I was laughing, and I looked at her, and what I saw is she was huge, and she looked like Predator. She had like these things hanging from her chin when she was laughing, and it would just go like this.
Oh wow.
And then
Scary.
I was laughing so hard at her and then I kind of looked at myself, and I'm like, oh my God, I look like Jiminy Cricket. I was actually a point of mantis. So what am I laughing about, right?
Wow.
Right.
But I also believe that one of my lives was actually Lyran, and the Lyran civilization is actually where a lot of this started, because what happened was the Draconians, which were the dragons, the lizards, the reptilians.
Well, tell them what you look like. What do Lyrans
look like? So the Lyran civilization, they're actually they have the faces of like cats and lions.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that.
They look like lions.
Yep.
And what happened is they were a very peaceful civilization, so they were very high density, and the Draconians came, and they had they'd stopped in, and of course the Lyrans, come on in, join us, right?
Very peaceful
race. And the Draconians liked what they had on their planet, and they wanted what they had, and they were very warring. So they actually planned an attack, and they started attacking them. And so what happened was, they were decimating the whole planet and all the Lyran civilization. So a lot of them, they started, dropping in frequency to try to escape them as they were chasing them down. And what happens, a lot of them ended up on Pleiades, the Palladian race. And so a lot of the Lyrans are Palladians and a Palladian mix. And I also have a very strong tie with the Palladians. And so, but a lot of them also ended up here on Earth.
But they lowered their frequency.
But they had to drop their frequency to try to get away from the Draconians. And but what happened is, in order to try to create peace, they the councils and everything got together with the Draconians and said, hey, let's see if we can create something on Earth, something new. And so that's where supposedly the dinosaurs and the reptilians were on the Earth, but that's a lie too. because they were actually dragons. In the Bible and in some of the ancient texts, you don't even see the word dinosaur or any kind of sign of a dinosaur until I think it's the late 1850s, because there was so many resets. Boy, we got so much stuff we could talk about.
Wow. So let me ask,
Yeah.
what happen? We know what happens when you guys die. Obviously, the average person like us, what is it? What happens when you die? What is what,
Well, physically, biologically, chemically, scientifically, when the body stops working from blood flow to electricity, because we're all electrical beings, we need that electricity running everything else from the heart to the brain and all that. The soul or the spirit that helps everything run, it elevates it's pushed out of the body because there's nothing living. Basically,
Yeah,
all the cells are dying.
the physical body can't handle.
So it goes up depending on the type of frequency or energy level that the soul has encapsulated in the time that it was in the body. We have come to believe, I've come to believe as well, that it elevates. Either it goes up to a much lighter level of energy, or it chooses to come back into a different body. And that's where a lot of the in India, they believe hugely in reincarnation and to burn off the bad karma, the bad energy, so they cannot come back again. That's how the reincarnation stops. I do believe that it's either you go up, or because your frequency is so low, you've been a very bad person, and you've just been a really bad person. Once you die, you go to what's been described as hell. But I don't believe, and I'm a former Catholic. What do we call it? You call it
Recovery
recovered Catholic. So we were taught
you're not Catholic anymore?
you're
Recovered.
not Catholic
Recovering
anymore.
Catholic?
Religion's just all about control.
Yeah.
I like that.
So,
It is.
you know, the
100%.
edict, or what we're indoctrinated, basically religion indoctrinates its servants, is that we all go down to hell. But it turns out that I've in my research, I come to find out that there's a thing called the void. It's an empty space. It resembles like the never-ending story, the nothing that goes around sucking everything up.
Yep.
It's one of those. I've encountered it throughout my teens after my near-death experience, where it was just an urging to commit suicide. It's not because I'm manic depressive or crazy or anything like. Well, my crazy is my normal, but
Yeah.
it's that kind where you have that urge to just not exist anymore, and that's what the void is. I do believe that the void is like, we could say, a spiritual spaceship where it just encapsulates all these souls, all these energy, because we're all energy, and that's what the reptilians, the evil ones that don't want humanity to exist and to continue growing, it's like the Matrix. They were like copper tops, pretty much.
We feed them with our luge. So as they scare us and fear us, they feed off of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I also believe that, like some people, they sell their souls. That what they do is when their soul leaves, they trap it and they use it and they feed off of it. But the thing is a lot of people don't realize is we've come back so many different lifetimes. We've not only been good people, but we've been very bad people.
I was a sorceress.
Yeah.
I was a sorceress in that one. Even with our parents, I believe that everybody has had their go around with the parents too. With my dad, in 3 lifetimes, my dad sacrificed me on a big granite slab. I was about 7 or 10 years old, and he killed me the first 2 times. And the second time, I kicked him in the groin where it matters the most, and I just ran the hell out of there.
Yeah.
And
It's great parenting.
My grandmother did the same thing. My grandmother did pretty much similar thing to me. And when my mom's mom, my grandmother, died, I was 3 years old. And when we were driving to the funeral, I started singing "Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead."
And that's all the while I didn't know that she had done.
But I also believe that a lot of spirits, they don't.
What happened later that night?
Oh yeah, so later that night, I was screaming in my crib. My grandmother had come back from the grave and was trying to pull me under,
Oh wow.
trying to make me with her.
Yeah.
Because she was angry that she wasn't able to get me.
You both have NDEs, right?
Yes.
Multiple or singles?
I believe I've had 4, but to
Okay.
maximum 4 NDEs.
Right.
Shoot.
I had 2 as well when I was 8. I drowned twice and was brought back. You think that kind of helped?
I think it opens you up a lot. More.
Correct.
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think whatever good is out there, that when that does happen, it's like they do a little quick fix and then send you back to try again, because you're not meant to leave at that point. I think a lot of the darkness doesn't like us around, and they try to get rid of us.
Do you guys play musical instruments? You guys play anything?
Yes. Yeah,
Actually, yes.
I do.
That
I
answers
play
your
the
question.
piano. I play a fake air guitar. But and the bongo
That's
drum.
my skill level right there.
Yeah, I played a saxophone, bassoon, and drums, and I actually was in the Northwest Indiana Orchestra.
Have you heard that being musically oriented or is a thing about
It opens you up.
Yeah.
Because it's all about the frequency.
Yeah.
And that frequency, that when you're playing an instrument, it kind of changes you, because it changes your frequency too. Because when you're like for the bassoon sounds like a duck. It's a crazy little instrument.
Everybody's picturing.
It sounds like
I've heard it, and you're right. It sounds like a duck.
But when you're playing, it actually vibrates your body.
Yeah.
It's the same thing why the tuning forks are so popular and different. But the problem is the other ones have literally changed the frequencies. I think back in like the 1700s.
Instead of 432 hertz, they changed it
To
to
440.
440.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
On YouTube, everybody on YouTube, if you're listening, you may be trying to play the real frequencies over YouTube, but they actually change it.
Yeah.
They automatically change it no matter what you put over
Wow.
there.
That's insane. How long did your ayahuasca trips last? How long did your ayahuasca trips, when you took them, how long did that last?
Oh my God.
Well, the trip itself lasts probably about 3, maybe 4 hours.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it?
Ceremonies like a day long.
Yeah.
Okay.
But definitely, boy, that cracks you open like a walnut.
I heard. Yeah. I'm afraid of it, but yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, I think it depends on the intent of when you go in. One of the things that I learned through it is you always go in with intent and questions. What do you want to accomplish? What do you want to learn? Because if you go in blindly and you have any kind of negative stuff in you,
that's going to go in with you.
It's going to wake it up, and it's going to
Yeah.
wreak havoc until you let go of it.
We were visiting somebody that we were going to establish a church so we can also do a lot of more retreats and stuff.
Right.
They happen to have 2 healers from Colombia,
Shaman.
and I actually
Shamans.
I actually got to try bufo. I love bufo. It's not as violent. Well, I don't want to say violent as ayahuasca, but it makes you throw up because it's a detoxifying medicine too.
Ayahuasca does too.
Yeah, I actually got to talk to my higher self, and I told me that everything was gonna be okay. I was all like, okay, cool. So yeah, I think it's vital. I think people need to get back down to the earth as well. Ayahuasca, before she actually wore me down to do it, I thought it was a drug, that it was a hallucinogen.
Yeah.
And
I'm not going to do it. I'm not going.
And the thing that made me change my mind is that it doesn't crystallize in your blood, so it doesn't stay there.
Right.
Right. But
I think it was the best thing I ever did.
if you go with a friend, I think it'll hurt a lot less.
Right.
I think it's gonna help you because I have a feeling that you're on a search for more. Yeah. I think you're trying to connect to your ancestors as well.
Correct.
Because I think a lot of your energy.
You're right on that fence.
I think it's gonna go fantastic for you.
Take a friend. Take a friend.
And this is for anybody. Whenever you do anything like ayahuasca or anything, make sure you're getting it done with the right people.
Correct.
There are a lot of
Absolutely.
people out there pretending to be the right person.
Yeah, you don't want to fake. You want someone who's done
I
it.
was seeing a money-making opportunity there.
We've also done the cacao from where did they bring it?
Oh yeah, we did yeah, from Brazil. We did some cacao ceremonies, which is like a really really refined dark chocolate,
Right?
but it does give you a kind of a meditative state.
Okay.
And we thought,
I've
okay, let's
never heard of it.
it's amazing, and we did some. It's like ayahuasca light.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
That might be a good start.
Psychotic
Yeah.
chocolate.
Yeah, it's psychotic chocolate.
Yeah,
No.
again, you gotta get the actual cacao.
Right.
But what we did it with a friend of ours, amazing healer. Her name's Juanita, and we met her probably about 4 or 5 years
So
ago, and
it ended up being about a total of I think 8 people there,
yeah,
and little did we know that it started to turn into
an exorcism.
a 3-person exorcism.
Oh.
Oh.
So we're like, that's what I said.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
Yes.
Oh.
Now
That escalated quickly.
it sure did. Well, what we realized is we had done it with other really high frequency beings, and it was a great thing. But when we brought in new people, some of them were on a really low frequency.
Yeah, it
With
changed.
addictions and different issues,
Yep.
and that's what it became. So the frequency was so high in the room, it just forced the negativity out.
Wow.
And so yeah, it turned into we did 3 exorcisms that night. So it's like, oh, okay, here we go. And it wasn't our first, luckily. We had done many before, but we were not expecting that at
It's
all.
like going to see hockey and then all of a sudden a boxing match breaks out. So, yeah.
Yes,
pretty much.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. We thought it was going to be a nice little zen,
No.
meditation. No.
Nope.
No. Screaming, yelling, all crazy
You
stuff.
did-
Yeah.
Wow. So you guys see dead people. Do you see them? Do you know Jimma Jade? Have you heard of her?
No.
No.
She's another
She would be psychic medium.
psychic medium.
Yeah,
that
writer
we talked to.
extraordinaire.
Religion
But
also.
it's funny. Actually, on our card, it says we see dead people.
Does it?
She should put that. She sees them all the time too. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like on the roof of her
Yeah,
neighbor's house.
We see
and
them all the
things.
time.
I see him by accident.
We
They
see them all
could-
over the place.
Well, see them during the
We-
day.
we
They just
channel a lot of people's.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they slide in one of the dimensions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been seeing them since I was a child, and it's funny because I've been hearing things since I was since I can never remember. And you think everybody does. I'm 7 years old, and I say, oh yeah, look at over there. Is that guy over there?
No.
No. So, oh okay. You think everybody does.
It's been interesting, and I discovered that. Well, I'm seeing both of my great grandmothers, both my mom's side.
Oh yeah,
wow.
the dad comes back. They always have something to
I
say.
have African American. That all of them smoke, so I know when there's smoke. I was like,
They're there. That's
because I used to smoke, so I'm a former. So I'm like, well, somebody's smoking. That smells good, or that smells crummy. But
That's your great grandma.
Yeah.
Okay, but and you also tend to channel lives that you've had before.
yeah,
Like I've had a lot of Native American lives. I actually have Blackfoot in me now, but I've had a lot of Native American lives. I channel a lot of Native Americans. One has a beautiful headdress with all these multicolored feathers. I channel an ancient African witch doctor.
oh well.
That was
Oh, wow.
a little surprising.
Yeah.
And Mayan people that So it's interesting.
yeah. On my mom's side, I have a long lineage going back to Imperial China. My grandfather's from Canton.
Oh wow.
He escaped at the turn of the communism in the early 1900s. He came here. My mom. I met my grandmom, and I was able to follow that back all the way to the Khans, Genghis Khan, particularly, because my grandfather had to change his last name because Spanish people could not pronounce it, especially the indigenous tribes couldn't pronounce the real name.
Oh wow. He's like, I'll sample it for you.
Yeah, Ralph Stepler.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's there's not enough time in an hour that we can give you all the information that
So is that what dogs and cats, when they're all looking up in the ceiling and we don't see anything, do you think they see?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
they see
Yeah.
and they chase
Yeah.
cats.
Cats are protectors.
Yeah.
And so do dogs, but cats, they have, they're very venerated in Egypt.
Yep.
In our last house before where we're living now, we lived in Orlando. We were renovating, and one night we were already in bed, and our kitten, she was maybe 5 months old, I saw something floating out of the corner of my eye. I decided to ignore it. I just wanted to go to sleep because I was so tired, and so was Patty. So the cat went on a dresser that was in a corner, and she waited for it. Her name is Misha. Misha waited for
She
it and
caught it.
snapped the crap out of it.
It jumped up and went, wow!
Out of here.
He saw it floating by and never came back. It never even said goodbye.
Yep.
It just left. So
Yeah.
so yeah, cats,
Are
dogs,
amazing.
horses are very sensitive to that stuff.
And when you see a little 2-year-old saying, Grandpa, Grandpa,
Right.
Grandpa,
Yeah.
it really is.
There really is, Grandpa.
Yeah.
Really is.
Oh,
They
wow.
come in wide open usually. Except for now they're trying to suppress them because, all the things they do.
Yeah.
But, it's interesting. Yeah, definitely the animals. And I think they're getting more sentient because our cat actually is starting to talk to us.
A lot more.
And seems to be understanding us a lot more. Like when we feed her, she says, I love you. I love
Right.
you.
Yeah. Nice. Nice.
They are very food oriented.
When-
Yeah, it's awesome.
So when's the book coming out?
We don't know yet. I'm still working a full-time job. Patty's graduated. She retired a while
government.
back.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It's kind of funny because my whole life I've been pushed into. I tried to go into the military, and my mom wouldn't let me because I felt compelled.
Yeah.
For some reason. Now I know why, but I felt compelled. But she said, "No, you can't do that." And then I was going to go be a cop. No, you can't do that. I was going to be a firefighter. No, you can't do that. In fact, I actually went against her at one point because I became an EMT. I took all the tests for the thing, passed with flying colors. I was a volunteer, and I went to go take the physical test, and she says, "No, you're not." And when I was younger, I played sports. And the day before the test, I broke my ankle.
Oh,
wow.
So my mom's like, "No, you're not."
Oh, shit.
But here's the funny part is when I got older, I was going to school. I was going to be a radiologist. I got a scholarship for music. I got a scholarship for art. I got all these scholarships. My dad said, "No, you can't do that. No, you won't make any money doing that. No."
Oh my God.
That's a hobby.
Yeah.
So I ended up. I was going to school as I was going to be a radiologist, and I ran out of money, so I had to get a job. I was going to go work at Wendy's as a manager. Right? Had it all set up. That would have been a great career, right? And one of my friends came up to me and said, hey, why don't you take a test with me? I'm going to go take a test for the post office. And I'm like, no, I don't want to work for the post office.
Right.
Just come on, just take a test with me. Well, I ended up going.
And
I
passed.
took the test, and I passed with flying colors. and within 6 months, they made me a supervisor over like these 50, 60-year-old men, all veterans. I was the only woman in there.
Were they grumpy?
I was the only non-veteran. Because I had scored so high. But I realized I think I was their babysitter.
Right.
Yeah.
They were grumpy.
No doubt.
Yeah, they were very grumpy. And it was weird because there's reasons they shoot people in that place. and we actually, and this is totally serious, you actually had had pools where we would, which guy's going to crack and shoot the place up.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, we bet on which veteran was going to, and don't get me wrong, I love veterans. I ended up working at the Veterans Administration for maybe about 15 years after that. And because I had enough of the post office after 23 years, I was like, I'm out.
Yeah.
Postal Deadpool.
Yeah. Postal Deadpool. That's exactly what that is. Postal
Exactly what that
Deadpool.
And it's so funny because the way I was
That's a band name. I'm sorry, go ahead.
But when I went to apply for the VA, I was going to, I had stopped and been a contractor in North Carolina for a while. And I decided, okay, I got to go back because, the crash of, everything. And I was going to get some training on some stuff. And they're like, this guy just happened to come in from the VA to do a little talk to us. It's like, okay. I thought, okay, I looked and there was really nothing I was qualified for except for there was an account tech. And I'd done a lot of finance in the post office. So I thought, okay, I'm going to try for that. It had already expired, but I filled out the paperwork.
Right.
I took it over there, And if you don't make it in time, they just automatically kick you out. So about a week later, I got this letter saying, I'm sorry, you're too late,
Right.
and we're not going to accept you. But not even a half an hour later after I got that envelope, someone called to ask me if I wanted to come in for an interview.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So I went in for the interview, and everybody just loved me. It's like, yeah, how obvious is that?
Yeah.
And all these people, they always. It's funny. I was raised in Chicago, and Chicago's kind of a crazy place, not very friendly people. And
Yeah,
I
been
went
there.
to North Carolina where,
You have a witness.
yeah, everybody is super friendly, and
Yeah.
you think you're in Pleasantville. Because it's like, what are you so happy about? Why are you waving at me?
Right.
And that's how everybody at the VA was treating me, but it just felt so weird.
Yeah.
And then there was one girl who decided she wanted to be my best friend that I worked with. And there it was. She was, I don't even know if I should say what she was, but she was in a very high ranking position
Right.
in the very bad groups.
Oh, boy.
Oh, wow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So she was it Eastern Suns? She was the highest ranking in the Eastern
For
Suns.
the Scottish Rite for the
Scottish
woman.
Rite.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So
And-
it wasn't just her. 'cause-
Yeah.
And it was when she got here to Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first one, North Carolina. When she got here to Orlando,
I went to another totally different job that I had no reason to be there. But I thought I got to go do something.
Right.
I almost got thrown off a mountain. That was my second near death. I got thrown 30 feet.
they only have an hour. For
Yeah,
this
they
one.
only went out.
Yeah.
I
Less
went
than
up
that.
to the VA down in Orlando, and again I got hired in right away.
Yeah.
I got into the thing. I knew nothing about anything in that department, and someone comes buddying up to me and says, I think you're great. Let's do some stuff together. And she wanted to do some holistic stuff because we're both naturopathic nutritionists also,
Right.
and we do a lot of the holistic healings and things like that. And she wanted to make some holistic soap with me. I was like, oh, okay. And she's, best buddy. Then I find out she's all hooked up with Washington, and she was in Orlando the highest ranking person in, again, the Scottish Rite Eastern Stars. And at one point she said, I'm going to marry you. And I thought,
No, you're not.
And
Not a good fit.
Yeah.
And a side note, speaking of holistic, we're still working on the book.
Right.
About 3/4 done. That's all the details we are going to give you right
Okay.
now.
Does it have a
But-
title yet? Have you guys title?
It's not a working title. We have a title yet.
Right.
We do have actually like 2 or 3 in the works.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're all
We haven't
done.
Well, I sort of decided on mine, but she's normally the one that says, "Oh, I don't know."
She thinks about it a little bit longer.
Well, make sure you
Um,
contact us when you're done with any of them.
Yeah, we'll have you on
That
for
way
the
we
book.
can talk
And
about the book. We do a few
Awesome.
author interviews.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah, we would love to talk to you some more. I mean, there's so many
Yeah.
things that
Yeah.
we've
Yeah.
done that deep dive all our lives. So
Before we forget.
yeah.
So before we forget, we're also starting some new workshops on Beginner's Guide to Chakras and
Okay.
Systems, and intermediate level as well. We're going to be posting
Healing.
some information on our Facebook.
Say it again. What's your links
The
again?
Facebook page is it's at Transcend11.
Okay.
TRANZEND 11. And we'll also be posting some videos regarding that on our YouTube channel,
Perfect.
which is the PsyChicks.
Yeah, and we do all the experience fairs down in Florida. Experience psychic fairs, south.
Yeah.
And we also post that on our Facebook too.
Yeah, and we are branching out. We're thinking of going into other states
Oh, that's a good
Very
idea.
nice.
or traveling more.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up because we'll probably be talking for 3 more hours with you guys. You got some, yeah. Thanks for listening to the latest episode of the Alien Probe Podcast. We welcome questions, comments, or requests to alienprobepodcast@gmail.com. Visit us on Facebook. Check out our website at alienprobe.net. Twitter and Instagram at alienprobepod. YouTube, Rumble, and Patreon at Alien Probe Podcast. Thank you, PsyChicks.
Oh, you're so welcome.
It was so nice to meet you.
You guys are great and so much fun.
Thank
And
you.
you have
Thank
a
you.
fantastic Facebook account.
I will send. I definitely send you guys a copy, so you can.
Awesome.
You
Awesome.
can
We
post it
appreciate
up
it.
there.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Have a
Thank you very
great day.
much.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.